Hey, what's up everybody? Eternal Fire here, and today we're going to be bringing you a video guide on the Enhancement Shaman and the pre-patch of the Legion expansion 7.0.3. Today we're going to be taking a look at the spell book. We're going to be taking a look at some of the abilities that have changed. We're going to be looking at the stat priorities and the single target rotation, as well as the talent tree and the build you want to use. With that said, let's get into the spell book. First, we have Ancestral Spirit. It's just a res. You can res a teammate, bringing them back to life with 35% max health and mana. Cannot be used in combat. Astral Recall is just a hearth, 10-minute cooldown. Astral Shift, shift partially into the elemental plane, taking 40% less damage for 8 seconds. So that's a damage cooldown right there, or survivability cooldown. Boulder Fist replaces Rock Biter, and it's a talent we're going to talk about a little bit later. Cleanse Spirit removes all curse effects from a friendly target. Crash Lightning is an ability. It costs 20 Maelstrom, so basically Maelstrom is now the resource for the damage class Shaman. It works very much like Rage for a warrior. So Crash Lightning costs 20 Maelstrom. It's an instant ability. Electrocutes all enemies in front of you, dealing nature damage. Hitting 2 or more targets enhances your weapons for 10 seconds, causing Storm Strike and Lava Lash to also deal nature damage to all targets in front of you. Feral Spirit, it's an instant 2-minute cooldown. It's going to be your damage cooldown. Summons 2 Spirit Wolves that aid you in battle for 15 seconds. They are immune to movement, impairing effects, and grant you 5 Maelstrom each time they attack. Basically, when you pop this ability, you're going to be building Maelstrom extremely quickly, so we got to be aware of that. Flame Tongue is an instant ability on a 10.6 second cooldown or based on your haste. Scorches your target, dealing fire damage, and enhances your weapons with fire for 16 seconds. Causes each weapon attack to deal up to X amount of fire damage based on weapon speed. So basically, Flame Tongue and Frostbrand are going to be 2 abilities with the build we're using that you're going to buff yourself with them, and you want to make sure that they're always up. You're going to have plenty of time in this rotation to make sure that they're, refreshed. You can refresh them early, but really to maximize it on your damage, you want to make sure these 2 self buffs are always up. So then we're going to go to Frostbrand. It costs 20 Maelstrom, chills your target, dealing frost damage, and enhances your weapons with frost for 16 seconds, causing each weapon attack to reduce the target's movement speed by 50% for 3 seconds, which we're not too worried about in PvE. In PvP, that would be nice, but we're just using it for the, extra damage you do with your weapons for 16 seconds. So again, Flame Tongue and Frostbrand, keep it in mind. You want to, keep those self buffs up on yourselves. Ghost Wolf just makes you go 30% faster and preventing movement speed from being reduced below 100%. So that's pretty nice right there. Healing Surge has changed a little bit. Heals a friendly target for X amount of healing, consumes 20 Maelstrom if available to become instant. So you can really use that to your advantage. If you're in a high damage situation, you're taking a lot of damage, you're going to die, you can, pop one of your speed cooldowns, give yourself a little space, or during the fight, you don't even have to run away. You can build that Maelstrom up just to keep yourself alive. You're not going to be getting obviously as much damage out if you're using your Maelstrom for healing, but the fact that you can have instant heals as long as you have Maelstrom up or, available, that's really, really nice. Great utility. Heroism is our Bloodlust, increases haste by 30% for all party and raid members for 40 seconds. Allies receiving this effect will become exhausted and unable to benefit from Heroism or Time Warp again for 10 minutes. Hex is a CC, transform the enemy into a frog for 1 minute. While Hex, the victim is incapacitated and cannot cast or attack or cast spells. Damage will cancel the effect limit 1. Only works on humanoids and beasts. It's on a 30-second cooldown, so this is an ability you're going to want to be using in dungeons if you're using CC on trash, or, when you're questing or doing whatever in the regular world. Lava Lash costs 30 Maelstrom. It does not have a cooldown, charges your offhand weapon with lava and burns your target, dealing fire damage. So this is a pretty weak ability overall, and just keep in mind that you're going to be using this as a filler. But when I say filler, I mean only so you don't cap your Maelstrom. That's the only time you're going to use it, but we'll go into that later. Lightning Bolt is no longer in our rotation, unless for whatever reason you're on the move and you're, ranged from your target and you want to get something in, but it's really nothing. It only does 1600 nature damage. It's an instant cast now, and it costs no resources at all. Purge is an instant ability. Purges the enemy target, removing one beneficial magic effect. That's more for PvE than anything. Maybe we will be able to use it in dungeons. Spirit Walk is an instant ability on a 1-minute cooldown, removes all movement impairing effects and increases your movement speed by 60% for 8 seconds. I love this talent. It's just awesome all around the board. I love it. Storm Strike costs 40 Maelstrom. It's on a 14-second cooldown, energizes both your weapons with lightning, and delivers a massive blow to your target, dealing a total of X amount of physical damage. So Storm Strike is, the primary damage dealing ability you have, and we're going to talk about that more. Water Walking, it's just a 10-minute buff that makes you able to walk on water. Damage will cancel the effect. Wind Shear disrupts the target's concentration with a burst of wind, interrupting spell casting and preventing any spell in that school from being cast for 3 seconds on a 12-second cooldown. It's got a 30-yard range, so it's nice because it's just a ranged interrupt. Then we're going to be looking at our passives. Maelstrom Weapon. Your auto attacks and Wind Fury attacks generate 5 Maelstrom. So basically the only talent you have, or the only ability you have that generates Maelstrom, is going to be your Boulder Fist. And if you don't take Boulder Fist in the talent tree, Rock Biter. That's the only ability that generates Maelstrom. Otherwise, it's the Maelstrom Weapon. You do it passively. Mastery Enhanced Elements increases your chance to trigger Stormbringer and Wind Fury by 2.02% and increases all fire, frost, and nature damage you deal by 32.44% or based on your mastery. So, this is a really nice... With that said, since we went over the passive mastery ability, the primary stats for an Enhancement Shaman is going to be agility, haste, and mastery. Those are the stats you just want to stack. I believe haste goes up to 17%, and then mastery, and then haste after that, crit, whatever. But it's going to be agility, haste, and mastery, just like it was in the last patch. Reincarnation is a passive ability, allows you to resurrect yourself upon death with 20% health and mana. This effect can occur only once every 30 minutes. Stormbringer. Each of your main hand attacks has a 7% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Storm Strike and cause your next Storm Strike to cost 50% less Maelstrom and trigger no cooldown. This is a huge cooldown. You want to make sure you have Maelstrom saved up so you can, get the full effect of 2 Storm Strikes back to back. Storm Lash. While your weapons are enhanced, your attacks have a chance to grant Storm Lash up to 3 party or raid members for 8 seconds, causing attacks and spellcasts to deal additional nature damage. So when that procs, you just get additional nature damage. And then Wind Fury, lastly, each of your main hand attacks has a 7% chance to trigger 2 extra attacks, dealing physical damage each. Alright, so that's the spell book there. Now we're going to look at the talent tree. First, we have Boulder Fist. Again, replaces Rock Biter. It's an instant ability, 5.28 second recharge, or based on your haste. Slams your target with the power of stone, dealing nature damage and enhancing your weapons for 10 seconds, increasing your critical strike chance by 5% and all damage you deal by 5%. Hands down, best talent in this tier. You can't pass up that 5% crit and damage increase. So we're going to go with that. Replaces Rock Biter, and nice enough is it actually generates quite a bit of damage, and that's the ability you're going to use to generate your Maelstrom. It generates 25, so that's a really good ability. It feels strong, it's fun to use. Then we're going to drop down. We have Wind Rush Totem. It's on a 2-minute cooldown. Summons a totem at the target located for 15 seconds, continually granting all allies who pass within 10 yards 60% increased movement speed for 5 seconds. So basically what that looks like is you throw it down, and now you have a speed buff for that time that it's active. So you can run all around, and until that totem goes down, as long as you go within 10 yards of it, it rebuffs your speed. So it's a very nice ability to have. So now it's gone. We lose the ability after the cast goes down. Really good utility. You can use that in raids, you can use that in dungeons, you can use that in solo content out in world, PvP. It's just, awesomer all across the board. Then we have another totem, Lightning Surge Totem. summons a totem at the target location that gathers electrical energy from the surrounding air and then explodes after 2 seconds to stun all enemies within 8 yards for 5 seconds. So that you just, again, you put it forward, and then after the duration, it stuns all the enemies in that area if they're still there. So, you know, it's really nice just having that AoE stun. Then we drop down, we have Hailstorm. I played with Ancestral Swiftness and Hailstorm. Ancestral Swiftness is just a passive ability and increases your haste by 10%. And Hailstorm is another passive ability. Frostbrand now also enhances your weapon's damage, causing each of your weapon attacks to also deal frost damage. So, you know, this basically buffs your Frostbrand ability. And again, we want to keep Flame Tongue and Frostbrand up at all times. So, you know, that's the reason why you're using Frostbrand in your rotation, you know, because you're just going to get that extra damage. And again, I played with these two abilities. Lightning Shield is the weakest out of the three. I played with Ancestral Swiftness and Hailstorm, and I just found Hailstorm came out on top. Then we have Empowered Stormlash. It's a passive ability. Stormlash now spreads to one additional target and deals 35% additional damage. So that's just, you know, really good to have. It helps with the AoE. And then Crashing Storm is a passive. Crash Lightning also electrifies the ground, leaving an electrical field behind which damages enemies within it for nature damage over 6 seconds. So now you not only have that ability, but for the next 6 seconds, you have, you know, a small field that is going to do AoE damage to whoever's standing in it. And that's just part of your normal rotation. So that's awesome to have. It's a built-in AoE, and it's very powerful. And then finally, we have Landslide. It's a passive ability. It's built into Boulder Fist. So Boulder Fist now also enhances your weapon, increasing your agility by 8% for 10 seconds. So not only are you getting the benefit from having Boulder Fist instead of Rock Biter, but you're also getting Landslide. And it's increasing your agility by 8% for 10 seconds. So you are going to have Boulder Fist and Landslide up at all times, because you're going to be using that when you don't have Storm Strike or Crash Lightning up. You're going to make sure your Frostbrand and your Flame Tongue are refreshed, and then obviously you're going to be, you know, using Boulder Fist, and it's just going to passively keep those abilities up for you. You really don't even have to worry about, you know, keeping those two abilities up from Boulder Fist, because you're just going to be using it naturally through your rotation. So the way your rotation is going to want to look like is you're going to want to put your Flame Tongue and your Frostbrand up first and make sure they stay up. And then you're going to want to pop your Feral Spirit. Feral Spirit, once they're up for that 15 seconds, they're going to, remember, they build you Maelstrom very quickly, so you're going to have a lot of Maelstrom to, you know, use in the, you know, on your burst, you know, your initial attacks to build your rotation going. So it's going to look like this. We're going to do Flame Tongue, Boulder Fist, Frostbrand, Feral Spirits, Boulder Fist. Now we're using Storm Strike, Crash Lightning, and now we're just doing Boulder Fist. And the only time we're going to use Lava Lash is when we're about to max out on Maelstrom. We just don't want to max out. Otherwise, we're going to be using Crash Lightning and Storm Strike on cooldown, and just making sure that our self buffs don't go off. So you want to just use Boulder Fist to build Maelstrom. You want to use Lava Lash if you're about to cap Maelstrom. Otherwise, you want to use Storm Strike and Lightning Crash whenever they're available. You always want to use them as soon as they're up, to maximize on your damage. So again, you go and you put your Flame Tongue up, you put your Frostbrand up, you pop your your Feral Spirits. You got to make sure you have the you know, get a Boulder Fist in there so you can use the Frostbrand, because it costs the 20 Maelstrom, and then you just use Storm Strike and Crash Lightning whenever, you know, they're available. So that is, I mean, the Enhancement Shaman rotation right there. It's really straightforward. It's just making sure that your self buffs are up, you're using your Boulder Fist, and you're always using Storm Strike and Crash Lightning when they're up. It's essential. And try not to, you know, fall into the temptation of using Lava Lash just because you have Maelstrom available and Lava Lash doesn't have a cooldown. It's a really weak ability, and you're going to want to save all of your, you know, Maelstrom Unless you're capped, then you use Lava Lash, but otherwise you're going to want to save all your Maelstrom for Storm Strike, Crash Lightning, and Frostbrand when you need to refresh that buff. So, I mean, that is the Enhancement Shaman, guys. It's really straightforward. It's a lot of fun to play. It's changed quite a bit from the last patch now that we have a resource to manage. Very easy to manage, though, not that hard. Just got to make sure those buffs stay up and you're using your rotation properly. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment. If you like the video, leave a like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching.